So, Miss Rosie, tell me what's on your mind.
Hey, Dr. Wolf. The reason I came to see you today is that I wanted to share my curiosity about something for a while now. Since I joined the fandom 3 years ago and came into the analysis community a few months back, I wanted to know how the theme of disabilities is represented in MLP, not only in the show, but the fandom as well. After seeing Flight to the Finish, where Scootaloo was struggling to fly after Darren Tiara and Silver Spoon teased her about it, and then we see the characters Stereo Eclipse in Tradia, and my favorite background pony Derby Hooves. These aspects of MLP made a great example on how this theme is represented.
And this has left quite the impression on you compared to other media you've seen in the past?
Yes, it has actually. I haven't seen many TV shows and movies that reflect on the theme of disability. Apart from the 1980s film Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman. That film was about how his character had a diagnosis of autism and he was incredibly intelligent. That was the first film I've heard of that portrayed someone with a similar diagnosis as I have. And there was a book that was published by Rudy Simone called Asperger's, and that made me understand more about my personality from a female perspective. Sometimes, I think there should be more media out there that reflects or portrays the theme of disability in a positive light, and hopefully inspire people with these disabilities to express themselves.
So, with a bit more positive focus on disabilities during a few episodes of MLP, how do you suppose the fandom has been affected by such portrayals?
Let me see. I think they would give other bronies in the fandom a good understanding of what characteristics a certain disability would be seen. For example, I would like to see an episode where the CMC asks the main six for help, after seeing a new failure in their class, after being bullied for not being able to see very well, and help them overcome that obstacle by helping them to use their other senses, like hearing. That would display to others of how the theme of being blind would be represented, or what they should do in real life.
I think you bring up a fair point with how the fandom has enjoyed previous portrayals when it comes to possible disabilities, and your desire to see future episodes that would expand even further on such topics is something I've seen a great deal of in fan fictions all across the community. It seems quite apparent that MLP and the brony fandom is filling a bit of a needed niche in this respect, at least in part. But what I find most curious is that no other fandom I've come across thus far has put this much focus on physical or even mental disabilities in their fan works. So, what makes MLP stand out in such a way as to draw people in to talk about such life challenges? In my mind, I believe it has a lot to do with the fact that the brony fandom has been so welcoming and understanding to begin with, encouraging an environment that is not only entertaining and thought-provoking, but also creating a sort of safety net, so to speak. These characters are quite varied while also remaining interesting and enjoyable to watch. I don't suppose there's a single person out there who couldn't relate in some way to at least one of these characters. But even more than that is the fact that these ponies also show significant weaknesses and struggles that they slowly overcome. We may not have seen any blind, deaf, or mute characters in the show as of yet, but when some pony like Scootaloo has to give her all in trying to be just like her idol and can't overcome her physical shortcomings as of yet, and we see how much she gives in to despair, there are a great many people who can relate to those experiences with their own shortcomings in life, for whatever that may be. However, this sort of story could not have had near as much of an effect on the audience were it not for the fact that we've grown to enjoy these characters and have wanted to see them succeed first. Coupled with the fact that our community has done so much in encouraging a welcoming and understanding environment, and we start seeing a lot more inspiring tales centered around disabled characters in fanfictions. We start seeing more conversations focusing on how much further we can take these ponies' stories and connect them with our own personal experiences. What do you think, Miss Rosie?
I agree with you on that 100%. This is one of the reasons I enjoy MLP so much. Sometimes I see myself as some of the characters in terms of my personality, or someone with Asperger's syndrome. Like Twilight, for my love of gaining new knowledge in any subject and studying about it. Like Fluttershy, I am kind and compassionate towards others. Like Rarity for being creative. And even Discord, as I thought I was the only person who has this condition. But when I met others who have a similar diagnosis like I have, such as my best friend, and you and the other analysts in the Rift, I felt I was welcomed and happy to be a new friend to all, and being able to share my experiences. I was glad when I started my channel, and many people out there, including yourself, were interested in my thoughts about the show. Even with the amazing models we have seen for the last 4 seasons, sometimes I adapt them to any problems I face in real life.
Makes me rather curious, though. Could it be that the way MLP has been written is what drew such a variety of fans with their own physical or even mental struggles? Or would there be anywhere near as many fans discovering these elements in the show were it not for the brony community in the first place? I don't suppose we'll ever really know the answer to such questions, but it does encourage a lot of conversation. Thank you kindly for bringing this topic out for discussion, Miss Rosie. Shall we continue on this next week?
It will be my pleasure. Maybe a future video explaining more about this would certainly think of new episode ideas and discussions. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Dr. Wolf. See you later.
Take care. It's good to be helping.